now, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has described as historic the implementation of an integrated number at birth system. The initiative, dubbed Ghana Card Number at Birth, forms part of efforts by the government to ensure that every Ghanaian has a Ghana card to enable an easy access to basic social services. Well, according to the Vice President, the implementation of this integrated system is a significant milestone which will address many challenges in the country. Listen.
So NIA will be going to all the schools to register all our children. So when that is done, Ghana will have a very complete database. Everybody will be registered on the NIA database. That will be massive for Ghana. Really, really massive. So once that is finished, it will be very difficult for anybody to enter Ghana and claim that you are a Ghanaian when you are not on the register. It will be difficult. Or to claim somebody else's identity because of the integration. It will be very difficult. This database also allows us to deal with the problem of child trafficking, which is a major issue. When a child is trafficked and you are able to arrest the perpetrator, who is this child? If the child is on the NIA database, it is likely that we will find them and return the child to their parents. The integrated Ghana card.
Well, Samuel Mbra was there for us and joins me in the studio now with more. Sammy, first is, has this started? The implementation, has it started?
Exactly, Kojo. So it started in the Ganoff hospital where this project was, or the initiative was launched. We have several women coming with their children because there was an announcement that this is the exercise that was taking place today. So I could count more than 100 women with their children who are above 6 weeks, somewhere 1 year, somewhere 2 years, coming to register. But we know at the moment, a little of over 17 million Ghanaians, constituted about 70%, have been registered by the National Identification Authority, and efforts are still underway to get every Ghanaian registered. I want us to listen to the Executive Director of the NIA, Professor Ken Athefa, talking about the fact that this will help even eliminate what we call football age.
The personal identification number will be given to every child born in this country. I mean, every Ghanaian. The focus now is every Ghanaian. And there is nothing useful to add to the very detailed and brilliant presentation of submissions made by Mrs. Henrietta Lamte of the Births and Deaths Registry. That with this critical milestone beginning today, contestations about age, contestations about citizenship identification, all of those will become a thing of the past. As we say, football age will no longer exist. And with that, all the other falsehoods, all the other centers of contention will begin to evaporate. Our national elections will be cleaner. We should be able, indeed, in my personal view, we should be able, beginning this year, to rely on the National Identity Register to vote as Ghanaians, because we have the cleanest moment in our history and in our future.
A very interesting comments there, but this has to do with the Birth and Death Registry.
Exactly.
How are they also reacting to the story?
So, well, you know, they are in charge of registration of deaths and births as well. So, the acting Director General of the Births and Deaths Registry, Henrietta Lamte, was at the launch of this particular initiative, and then she said this is something that has come to augment what they are doing. In fact, it will make their services efficient, and she is now calling on parents to get involved and have their children registered.
This initiative is an example of government's commitment to efficiency, transparency, and accountability. With the expertise and resources of key stakeholders under the auspices of the Office of the Vice President, synergies were created to enhance the effectiveness of vital event registration that will foster public trust and confidence in our institutions. As we implement this important project, it will be our collective commitment to leave no child undocumented, irrespective of their location.
All right, so that's the acting managing director, right? For the but earlier you said some mothers brought their children to be registered. Exactly. You've been speaking to them. What were their reactions? You
could see the excitement all over their faces, and then some of them actually told me that it will reduce the stress on them. You know, the current situation is that you have to go and join the queues, and then even though the LI has been reviewed for children above 6 years, but now that it has been extended to children who are 6 weeks old, it is actually refreshing for them, and it is structured such that when you come for weighing, you'll be able to register your child. The child will get the birth set and also get the NIA card. Let's listen to some of the mothers who spoke to us.
I register. Maybe as we be na kwem. O my bibia amano. How my register mami.
My register me bano. They all 6 years. And I me register. It's
we like it because you don't have to wait till the child grows up. You go and queue, a very long queue. You go today, they tell you to come tomorrow and all those stuff. So right from bed, you're able to register your child and get a Ghana card. So I think it's easy. It's okay.
I easy, mami pa, because stress. We mobile register Ghana card no, na stressful. Now so me be way me ba. Now fortunately no, and I'm about to 20 me yaman.
Omon bread is say na yes ye bread. On say omo de buy ye bread ye be kwa for me queue. Aye, but we say no. Oma ye ni say wo ba we yin kwa otime ye nte boa.
Well, those are some parents there. Yeah, what else?
Yes. So that's excitement from them. We know that this is the first of its kind to be implemented in the country. And we know the Vice President has been talking about his digitalization agenda. And this is actually part of the processes of digitalizing the whole system, where we have a centralized database to be able to monitor, check the progress or otherwise in the economy.
Let's see how this goes now. Meanwhile, in Parliament, Margin System says it has uncovered thousands of fake passports, driver's licenses, and other documents that Ghanaians do hold. Now, and this is as part of the Ghana card production process. But we'll bring you details of this after a short break. Stay. Welcome back from the break. Let's take you to Parliament, because the Margins Group have been telling Parliament how they've discovered, some fake passport, driver's license, and all of those Ghana card, those IDs that form part of the Ghana card production process. Kweku Asante was in Parliament for us and joins us in studio now. Kweku. Yeah. So what do we know? What more have they been saying?
Margins Group has been under some considerable amount of fire because there are people in civil society like the Imani Africa Group, led by Brad Simmons, who have raised certain issues about the way they do their work. And so Parliament has invited them to be able to have a certain idea of what the kind of work they do. So members of Parliament actually went to their facility at Spintex, where they print the Ghana cards, a very highly valued security facility. And they've been given a certain idea in terms of the kind of work they have to do. They realize that for the past few days now, they say they are doing what they call harmonization. So they're harmonizing the Ghana card with other details. For instance, now, if you have the Ghana card, you don't need the SNET card, the SNET ID card anymore. Okay. And because of that, when they were doing the harmonization, they said they've discovered some staggering amount of really fake documents in the system. 45,000 fake passports. People are holding passports that are just like a passport issued by the Foreign Affairs Ministry, but it's fake. People are holding over 180,000 driver's licenses that are just like licenses issued by DVLA, but then they are fake. And they had to realize this when they did sort of the harmonization of the system. So listen to Margins Group themselves, their chief operations officer. I mean, given a certain idea of the fake documents they've seen in the system, which you say is a huge security risk for the country.
Okay.
About 45,000 passports which don't exist in the passport database. We found about 130,000 NHIS cards which don't exist. We found, I think, another 45,000 driver's license which don't exist. The number of SNIT cards, I think, was about 166,000. These documents were presented to NIA during the registration process. And so we couldn't detect this in the field because we operate a secure database. The machine can only talk to NIA. So after collecting the information, we then do a connection to these systems to validate what has been collected. And that is where we see this information. Other things that we saw, for example, voter ID cards. One voter ID card used by different people, sometimes up to 10 different times. So when you look at the registration data, what you will see is that a certain voter ID number has been used to register for a Ghana card in maybe 10 different locations. It's not possible that it was the same person because of the time differences between these Ghana card registrations. So, I mean, there are lots of issues with the silos of data that we have. And so this shows that the Ghana card is helping to clean up these silos.
Okay, as we get to technical.
Well, so it's not just about these fake documents issues that they are responding to. Over the past few weeks also, there have been concerns about the Margins Group itself and its affiliation to the governing New Patriotic Party. There are those who believe that this Ghana card is being propped up by the vice president for private gain. That is the concerns that people like Bright Simmons again have made. Again, this time, the CEO of Margins IDs Group himself, Mr. Moses Baden, is explaining that as far as they are concerned, they've been doing this work since Rawlings' time. This work on the Ghana card has transcended just the NPP government. Of course, it is the NPP government under which the Ghana card registration has been such a huge success. But it started under Rawlings, it persisted under President Kufuor, President Mills, John Mahama, and then President Akufo-Addo. So they respond to what they call conspiracy theories against them, but they are categorical that they are not in any way related to the New Patriotic Party. They're just a private group doing
a private business.
We are the first large-scale establishment national ID project in the world, and we designed the right here from Ghana. Some people think, some people say that we were an NC company, an NPP company the next day, we were built this time, we were built that time. But actually, the first national ID, 1995, during the Rawlings era, there was a big by stint with the only local company that competed. So to date, we registered 183,000 foreigners from 260 different nationalities. So today you can tell how many foreigners are in Ghana from each country, where they live, and what they do. We're here to get the full benefits of the data. The weakness of the project is the government has not enforced enough. And the money doesn't come to us. There are so many publications that have some private parties taking the money. We're not receiving any money. The money is passed by Parliament so that it goes to the escrow account, so that it pays for the investment that we've made, which is calculated 10% of debt. You signed all agreements, so 10% of debt on private sector is very low, given the risk that we're going through. And 17% of equity, that's all there is to do. And when people update and replace cards, they pay. If you do offline and online verification anywhere in the world, you pay an NIA fee for it. You don't have to build that infrastructure. You can use it, and you can negotiate that affordable fee, passed by Parliament, not passed by NIA. And subsidiary legislation committee, that's why I hear. You will go say, why are you charging this person? Why are you charging, remove this, remove that? Why is it that somebody says to me, there's miners who is charging fees? How do we charge fees? We're only getting paid for our debt and our equity.
So far, 2,000 Ghanaians have used the Ghana card from 19 different countries to come to Ghana. That's a fact. The passport can be accessed in 197 balls for 4,000. If you go to any European passport and they say, read your passport, try your Ghana card, the MRC at the back, and then put it on NFC. You see it to read.
All right, so that's the but what else did you pick from this particular track?
Well, so It appears now both NDC and MPP are now coming to terms that, listen, this is a group we need to support. In fact, when the Electoral Commission proposed that they need to make Ghana card a sole identity document, we know that the NDC fought it, and that's why the EC was not able to do that.
Yeah.
And so at this meeting, the NDC bigwigs were there from Parliament. The chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, Dr. Dominic Ayine, a former Deputy Attorney General, who now says that he is really very interested in the kind of things that he's saying. He's impressed, and that he thinks that both parties should really stop the political games that they are playing with the Ghana card, offer margin group all the support it needs so that it can be able to do. So we can hear from Dr. Dominic Ayine on the support, he says, successive governments need to give to margin group and the NIA to do this job.
The first thing I would say is that, I'm so awestruck, I'm lost for words. And to think that this is being done by a Ghanaian company, a fully owned Ghanaian company, that, is being operated and run, by Ghanaians, is for me heartwarming. One thing I can say is that today, the members of parliament from the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, as well as the Defense and Interior Committee, have had their eyes opened to the multifunctional character of the Ghana card, that beyond it being used, for voter registration, it is also a card that can, provide the basis of even fiscal stability. It can prevent, cyber crime, and as I once said, on Joy FM, it can provide us not only clean elections, but also a clean society. And I think that all of you are witnesses to what has happened today. As a group, in a bipartisan manner, support, the work, not only of the NIA, but also this Ghanaian multinational company for it to succeed. So it is not something that is keyed in to the politics of the NDC and the politics of the MPP. It is, neutral as to party.
Well, so that's the
minority
chairman.
side.
Exactly.
And
What about
he chairs the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. And then there's a Western Regional Minister who's also part of this committee. Also quite impressed. And of course, he belongs to a side that have always made the case that, listen, the Ghana card is a good thing. Let's all back them. And he says he wants Ghana to get to a point where the Ghana card becomes actually the single source of identity document. That is what you use to vote. That is what you use to identify yourself, even as a passport.
I believe that we need to encourage them and support them to succeed as Ghanaian, and then also to make sure that our national ID card project we are doing is sustained. For me, if you can use the Ghana card, just one, to do, say, elections, use it as your bank card, use it as your normal identity, I believe that that's the way to go, so that we can throw away the waste or the duplication that used to be in the system, because Senate used to have their own silo. KMA will have their own silo, AMA will have their own silo, the banks have their own individual card issuing systems. It all doesn't help anybody. So now that we've been told what this card does, and if you look at the robust system that they put in place here in this factory, and then the software system that runs across internationally to the extent that our card can be used more like a passport, I believe that it is proper and fit that whichever government is in place should support this card to succeed. And if you look at the history of this card, it's been over 50 years. And every government after government have been trying to put in a system that works. And finally, we've gotten a card that works, and we need to all protect it and make it succeed.
So that's Kwabena Okyere Dakumeh, a Western Regional Minister and a member of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament. But let's still say in Parliament, because Minister for Works and Housing, Kojo Nkrumah, says there is no chance victims of the Akosombo Dam spillage disaster will be relocated to the Saglame Affordable Housing Project. 6 months after the disaster, several thousands of victims are still living in terms with MP for North Tongue filing a question in Parliament asking for the relocation to the abandoned facility. Kojo Nkrumah says the Saglame project is currently not habitable as it is without electricity and water. But Samuel Okudjota Ablakwa, who asked the question, was not impressed, arguing he does not understand why government will spend millions to organize the African Games but leave the victims of the spillage to their own fate. Now, let's bring in Kweku Asante again. Kweku, you were there.
Yeah.
What sort of argument was had between these two?
So, well, it's been 6 months since the floodgates of the Akosombo Dam was opened. In fact, I was in North Tongue not so long ago, and people are still living in tents. The tents are still there. There are so many people there. And then Kojo Nkrumah now assumes the role as Minister for Works and Housing. You will recall that in the 2024 budget, about 200 million Ghana cedis were allocated for the victims, for relocation, for resettlement, and all these issues. So Kojo Nkrumah was brought to the floor today to answer questions. 3 different questions, standing in the name of 3 different NDC MPs from the worst affected parts of the Volta region. And so Okudjota Blackwell's question is, why not relocate these persons to the Saglemi housing project until government is able to put its house in order and resettle these persons permanently? The minister says the Saglemi housing project is not just in a habitable state, and that electricity is not there, there's no water. Although the NDC MPs believe that if government is really committed to doing that, they can connect electricity, get some temporary water, and get it to the site so that these people can live there. Until the time that you can build them permanent relocation sites so that they can move in from there. But the minister says that is not something that they are considering currently. As far as they are concerned, these people will be relocated, will be resettled, and that government is actually still now gathering data. And that is why Okudjota Blackwell is not excited. He talks about government having spent about 60 million Ghana cedis to renovate the 4 diaspora halls in Legon to host the Africa Games. And says if you have that amount of money to do all that, then you can certainly have some amount of money, go down to the people and help resettle them. And then comes the questions also from Roxy Nelson Defemepo in terms of what exactly these persons are doing. And the answer that the minister gives is that they are still gathering data, they are still trying to gather enough data so that they can be sure about how many people need to be relocated and in what terms government need to help them. And then Roxanne responds that he does not believe that the government is treating the situation with the urgency it deserves because the floods happened 6 months ago. The water has now all receded in the constituencies that were affected, but it's just not working in terms of government being able to move in there. And so they want government to speed up the process. If you've allocated about 200 million Ghana cedis, and the president speaking at the set match says about 80 million of that amount has already been released to the people so that the ministries in charge can now start working on that. Kojo Nkrumah is promising that in the coming days, if parliamentarians want, he can come down and come and do a breakdown of how they're going to spend the 18 million Ghana cedis. But 2 things, he says, 1, they are still gathering data to inform the decisions they take going forward.
Data on who? The number of people who are affected or what?
Yes.
Exactly.
Not just the number of people who have been affected, but also in terms of the support that are needed. There are people whose houses were completely broken down. Government needs to know exactly how many people's houses were completely broken down. They need to know those people whose houses were partially broken down. How do we support them? Of course, the minority people say that that is not a tenable reason to give because it's been 6 months. And if NADMO has been on the grounds, they believe that NADMO even have the data. And even they as MPs have some of that data because some of Okudjota Blackwell has moved in there, done temporary settlement packages for some of these people. So they have the data. And they think government with all the resources at its disposal should be able to move in quickly and do something. And they just don't believe that government is attaching the necessary urgency to the matter.
Again, because when you said, I was asking, how could government still say that they are still conducting investigations to understand what will relate? Because this has been so many days after this happened. So really, are they being frank?
Yeah, in fact, some time back, the minister for Volta Regional Minister Archibald Lecha told me in an interview on Joy News that they were just haggling with some traditional authorities over land. And so the last details was land. The traditional authorities had not released the lands to them. And they were trying to find the various sites that they're going to build the resettlement. So they were expecting that the minister coming to parliament today was going to tell them that this is how much we are going to do. This is how long it's going to take to build these resettlement places. Because Ablakwa again makes the point that even the ones that they built, they did that in 6 weeks. They did that in just a little over a month. So if government has all these millions of cedis that has been allocated in the budget, they should be able to move to do something good.
Well, let's see how that goes. We're grateful for joining us.